Hello and welcome to Women Empowerment Edition Impact for Change. The purpose for the podcast is to provide the space for women to share their stories in an inspiring way to help impact and inspire other women out there. So today's guest lady is someone that I've known personally. She's an incredible human being. She's a massage therapist, pain specialist, homeschooling single mom with relentless passion for healing and learning and also helping other people. So please help me welcome Marcela. Hi, Marcela.
Hi, how are you?
I am absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for accepting to be on my podcast.
Oh, my pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine. So let's get started, Marcela. Is before we started, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about you and what you do?
Well, I'm a mom first. I have three beautiful children and two beautiful grandchildren. Um, I've been a massage therapist for about 16 years now, and most of my early career is focused on chronic pain, um, and medical direction of massage. And then the last few years, I've been delving into the spa industry and learning the much needed art of relaxation.
Wow, and how long you've been doing the massage therapist?
About 16 years.
16 years. Oh my goodness, that's such a long, long time.
It's been a very rewarding career. Absolutely.
Amazing, amazing. So, I know we spoke about it and we've been speaking, about the topic that they're gonna say today is about love, self-love. And every person have a definition and a different journey towards self-love. So, Marcella, tell me, what does self-love means to you?
It means a lot. Ultimately. So for me, myself, in the journey that I've taken,
Mm,
what I've come to understand for self-love is
yeah.
that it's an appreciation that we're
Mm,
here for a purpose, we're here for a reason,
mm,
and to cultivate that path and commit yourself to like consciously making the choice to show up for yourself in this
absolutely.
journey every single day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know you have gone through up and down regarding the self-love and you had this very tough journey, you know.
And we,
Yeah, so that self-love. Tell us a little bit about that.
oh, it has been a long road for sure. Um, I we all, just like everyone or most people,
Mm,
um, come from a background that's less than ideal, and it shaped me in a way that was pretty self-defeating, throughout most of my life, actually.
mm-hmm,
Um, I found myself like in a constant tug of war between like being able to do enough to
mm-hmm.
be worth being here and then not caring because what's the point anyway, right?
Yeah.
Um, and those choices that I've made, um, lead to self-fulfilling prophecies, right? Like when you when you think you have to do, you're never going to be able to do enough because you're already here, right? Like that's the
Yes.
part of like um and so um yeah, in my teen years, I made some pretty wild choices. That was definitely the height of the doesn't matter anyway years. Um, and I don't necessarily have regrets. Those are life lessons that I wouldn't be who I am without.
Mm,
Um, but um, they led to a life of self depreciation. um,
oh, wow.
And so by the time I was 19, I was married and had a child, and
Wow.
it was not the best marriage. By the time I was 21, that was over. Um, and I had two children. So at this point, I found myself as a single mom, and I had not made any plans for my future, and didn't really consider that I would have one. The way that I lived my life in my teen years. Um, and so it was at that point, you're faced with, you've got these beautiful children, and you love them.
Mm.
Now, how do you show up for them when you don't love yourself? And that's kind of where it all started.
Wow. Wow. you know what, Marcela, because I know I've gone through similar situation as well where when growing up, I didn't know what self-love means. So
Yeah.
the journey was a really, really, really tough. Tell me the lack of self-love in your life, how has that really affected your life? Because I know you said you're growing up on your teenage, period that you took a lot of decisions. Does that have an implication of you like saying there is no lack of love, like you don't love yourself? Would those decisions based on lack of self-love?
The decisions are definitely based on the lack of self-love. So what I've come to realize in the years since then and through
Hmm.
the journey is that when we don't have love for ourselves,
Yeah.
the people that we attract into our lives,
Hmm.
maybe they don't have love for themselves, maybe they do. That's not even on the table. What is the impact is the interaction between the two of you. And if you don't have love for yourself, the people who surround you, the
Hmm.
closest,
Yeah.
also don't have love for you. They also don't. And the
Absolutely.
people who do, and the people who do love you and want what's best for you and want to help you support you in the choices that are going to be um, beneficial to your future, they feel
Hmm.
like a lie, because your own truth is that you're not lovable. And
Mm.
you you can't you just can't walk past that without changing the way you think, right? Um,
Yes.
so that personal journey in there
Wow.
is
It's a long journey, Marcella. Honest to God,
oh
it's a
yeah,
long journey.
oh yes. and that and it's one, like, how do you take those steps, right?
Mm.
How do you take those steps? And yeah,
It's oh wow. And I'm sure today, like women who listen to your story, they're gonna say, like, hang on, I can relate. I can relate to Marcella. I can relate today that I
yeah,
know when she don't have a self-love in her life, or I don't have a self-love in my life, that have a huge impact. It can
yes,
affect the person hugely. I remember when I have no self-love, where I do not know where self-love is. That's how people become people pleaser, because they don't know
yeah,
how to love themselves. They always seeking love from other people. And funny
yep,
enough, when you mention that, when they don't know how to love themselves, when they start attracting the wrong people, my goodness, the amount of people that I start attracted, and the wrong people as well, Marcella, it was crazy. It was
right,
crazy. You
yes,
end up attracting the wrong people, and even for the
yeah,
wrong reasons. People, even when they say, "Oh, I love you," they love you for the wrong reasons. That's why
yes,
some of marriages do not last, some of friendship do not last. is because the lack of self-love.
Yes.
Tell me, how is the lack of self-love affected you emotionally and mentally at that time?
Oh, devastating. Absolutely terrible.
I can
It
imagine.
leaves you confused. It leaves you confused on what reality is. Um, Leaves you vulnerable to mistreatment. Um, I've heard people say it's like there's a flashing neon sign over my head, and that's a lack of self-love, and it's palpable. You can feel it. It's in the energy and it's in the air, you know. Somebody who can benefit from you not caring what happens to you is going
Mm,
to feel that too. Um, and it's contagious. So if you're running around not loving yourself, the people who are learning from you and growing from you, they
mm,
learn that too. And it continues the cycle. And it's terrible. And you sit back and you realize that you're the cause of the people you love the most learning not to love themselves.
mm.
Um, and then you have to learn to love that. You know, it's very like a mucky, dirty pond, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
where do you start? Or tangled necklaces. Like how do we
Mm,
undo this? How do we learn and change? Um, because that's the other, like when you don't love yourself, it's because you're not living your truth too, right?
oh,
And so
wow.
you have to
Yeah.
change. You have to
Yes.
change. And
Yes.
if you don't love yourself, how do you change? Because this is going, you know, like you're unpacking relationships you thought were good and they're not, and you're repairing things that you thought were not, and they were. And
Mm.
you know, it's
That is true. That is absolutely true, Marcella. Because from what you're saying is, oh my God, what you're saying. I know women gonna say yes, yes, finally, yes. I hear Marcella and what she's saying, and they can relate as well. They can relate how stories, because the lack of self love can cause doubting as well, and they can
yeah,
cause, yeah, they can end up, you end up blaming yourself. have you
yes,
have you ever had that, moment where, oh, I end up blaming myself more often and taking
absolutely.
burden on my shoulder that, oh, I don't love myself. And when people
Mhm.
ask and expect you to love them the way they want you to love them, that causes a lot of, like, heavy
Yes,
weight on your shoulder. Have you get to that point before?
very much. Yes. I've spent most of my life in that state.
Oh God, I can imagine. I can imagine. And how is lack of self-love affected the relationship that around you, with your family and with your kids? You said you had, after you got divorced, you had two children, you become a single mom, which is absolutely, I've known you personally. I know how powerful you are.
Hmm.
You start as a single mom. How is that really affecting your relationship? The With yourself first and with the people around you.
So self first, I I entered into the single mom role young, naive, and desperate to make it work. So that's a lot of time and energy just focused on survival.
Yeah.
Um, and really no time to consider where I was in my own journey for self love or taking care of me. Like that wasn't even on the table yet. It was just make it. I just had to make it. And put my nose to the grindstone and just started pushing forward and pushing forward. Um, lots of drama around our lives. When you have children with an abusive partner, even though if you leave them, you are still connected through the children. So that abusive relationship does not end. And if you, again, I was young and naive and not even considering my own need to take care of myself, perpetuated a lot of those abusive cycles for years, until our youngest turned 18, right? And so a lot of tumultuous times in my relationship with my daughters through the years, a lot of good times as well. Like I became a mom young, but I made the decision to show up for my kids and have done that at every step of the way. And so that's something that, in my self-love journey, I can look back at and know that like that was me. That was my true self, showing up before I could, right? But today, my daughters and I have whole, real, raw relationships, the good and the bad and the ugly. And we are able to communicate that with one another. And that's a success. They're both mothers. They both love their children. They've chosen them. They're showing up. Like the legacy that I had set out to leave is there. And they'll be in their own journeys too through the years. And I hope to be there with them every step of the way. I also have a son that I had single by choice. He's in high school. He's my little supernova. I wanted one more before I was too old. This was within, the years of journeying and figuring myself out. And he's really something special. He's like very much knows who he is set out to accomplish what he intends to accomplish. All the pieces of him don't fit into any box that the society would have put out there. And I'm just so grateful that I get to raise him. Wow. Nice. And it's a remarkable difference when you show up for yourself first. And that's what I've done with my son. Said, take care of me. And then that in turn, when I take care of him, he learns how to take care of him too. Amazing. Amazing. I know a lot of moms out there. It's like that's the power. That's the power when you start loving yourself. You start appreciate yourself. You start, communicate with yourself. Know your value and your worth. Even know the value and worth of other people and the boundaries and how even you can communicate with other people. That's what self-love can do, can even do more than that. But people who are gonna listen today, women who's gonna listen today, they're gonna say, it's hard, said than done. Because some people they have a real challenge cultivating that self-love. And it's not something easy that someone can do it over the night. It takes a lot of work, huge work. So, Marcela, how did you start the journey to self-love? Very strategically. I remember thinking, like, why is everything so different for me than it is for everyone else? And
Mm,
as much as I've been self-defeating to myself, I
mm,
also had made a decision early in life that I would relentlessly love all people. All people. Does not matter. And like, and I did, like, and I do with boundaries now. But I relentlessly loved all people, regardless of what actions a person has taken in their life. I've chosen to love the person. Whether I know you or not, doesn't matter. Whether you like me or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you've done. I love you. Like, and I really do. Um, but I love me too now. Um, but
Amazing.
in that, I wondered, like, why can I see the beauty in people who don't see the beauty in others, but I
Uh-huh.
can't see the beauty in myself, you know? I was like, you're trying to unpack that and figure that out. And I, I'm a grandmother now.
Wow.
I've kind of figured it, it's taken that long. It has taken that long, right?
Mm-hmm.
I at each point when you're like, well, they're like this and I'm like this, and I wish I had those traits or that confidence or the ability to say no, like all of those
Oh.
things that
Mm.
stand in your way. And it just, it feels like a cliff when you're looking at it. But then when
Yeah.
you like really dig in and try and contemplate what it would be like to change those things about yourself, it's it's not just a cliff, it's swimming the ocean. Like you're literally swimming the entire ocean to get from self deprivation to self-love.
Wow.
And you can't do that in one trip. And so if something seems too big, you sit with that. You sit with that until you find a piece you can take. And then
Mm.
you do that thing. And like it could take years, and that's okay because like this is your life. It's literally the only thing you have time for, you know? Like, it's there, it's going to
Exactly.
be there. We might as well look into the direction of, well, what can I do to bring myself closer to where I want to be
Mm.
for me? Um, and so, yeah, those little tiny bites, those little tiny pieces, um, and you have to learn to do things that feel wrong to your mind, body, and spirit in order to get your mind, body, and spirit online to what you want it to be. Um, because self deprivation it's self-hate. Um,
Mm.
and hate and love are not different from one another, right? They're like two sides of the same coin. It's still
Yeah.
passionate. It's still, but you have to change direction. Um, and if you can't see it, but you can find one little step you can take, and you got a little bit more of a view, and you can
Mm.
see a little bit more of the picture and change one more little thing. Um, and just take it one breath at a time.
That's true. Take one breath at a time. Absolutely. And it's true what you're actually saying, Marcella, because the journey to self-love, it is not, it's not a straight line. It goes ups and downs, ups and downs. You see holes, ups and downs. And unless we really keep working hard on ourselves and love ourselves more, appreciate ourselves. And I think it's down to self awareness as well. Wouldn't you agree? Self awareness.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much. Yes.
Because if you're not aware of yourself and you're not aware of you loving the whole you, the whole package of you, because you don't get,
Yes.
say like you cut yourself. You just love the whole package as it is.
Yeah,
So
that's the other that that's the chasm. It's the whole package, like those baby steps that
yeah,
you take lead you to being able to love that whole package. That means the ugly, the things that you know you want to change, but you're doing them. You're in it,
absolutely.
right? You have to learn to love that. Um,
So, some people they might say, you know what, I love myself, I love, but when you sit down with them and you say, because I know a lot of women there, they going through, they just love one side of themselves, like
yeah,
like I'm really good at this and all that, so I love that side of myself. But when it comes to the like downside, like I'm not good on something and I don't know, they don't know, they always keep doubting, they keep, beating themselves when it comes to the other side.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, you went through that
Oh,
journey as well, right?
very much, very, very much.
And what it took you to come out of it, like what it took you to come out of that and see yourself as it is, see yourself clear, and and say, decide, oh, I'm gonna love myself the way it is. It doesn't matter if I'm moody, if I'm grumpy, if I'm wake up with my hair all messy, and I'm gonna love myself for who I am.
So I guess maybe the contradictory part of this is I still feel that way when when we um face those parts we don't love about ourselves.
Yeah.
We're grumpy. We don't want to be grumpy. We don't want to face this thing. Um, that's all still true. But it's true. It was true with my toddlers too, right? Um,
Yeah.
and when they were grumpy and wouldn't eat their food or wouldn't wear their seatbelt in the car, I didn't love them less.
Mm.
I showed up and I dealt with the situation at hand. And that's how we love, right? And so
Yes.
loving yourself also means correcting yourself when you're wrong
Wow.
and being okay with that. Like it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay
Mm.
to correct yourself. It's okay to still love yourself when you mess up. It's okay to recognize that you messed up.
Wow.
And it's okay for other people to be mad. It doesn't matter.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Honest to God, I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. Because I think at some point we care a lot about what other people says at some point in our
Yes.
lives, and we forgot about what we care.
Uh-huh.
And that's a part of a self love as well.
Yes.
Caring for yourself. So
Yes.
what advice would you give to women who are going, to be honest, in the same journey as self love, or who don't know how to start the journey of self love, cultivating self love or appreciate themselves and just love themselves for who they are? What advice would you give to them as a person who walked the journey?
Well, if you're already thinking about it, you've already started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't waste your time judging other people. We don't have time or energy for that. We instead
Hmm.
you build up, you figure out what you need what you desire in your life, and you build up boundaries surrounding that and protect that. Stay focused, stay focused on what your goal is. But be flexible in how you get there. It's a lifelong journey for everyone. Some people don't go very far. Other people go to the moon and back. But you stay on your path. You go where you intend to go. Love relentlessly. Everything you see in everyone else, you have in yourself as well.
Amazing.
And that's okay. That's okay. And breathe. Learn how to breathe. Like literally learn how to breathe.
Yeah.
Like learn a breathing technique that's, because we don't. We hold our breath. We don't breathe. We panic.
True.
And learn how your body likes to move, and then go do that. We're made for movement. If we aren't moving, we're not able to cultivate the hormonal responses in our body to regulate emotion. And you're not going to love yourself if you can't. Face what you really don't want to see in yourself, and practice loving that every day of your life. Never stop. Because if you can't love your darkest secrets, your darkest points, then you've missed a lesson. You're probably going to learn it again.
Yes. 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 Absolutely.
And get involved in things outside of yourself. Learn what the rest of the world is. Travel if you can. But get out of your own head and realize where you are in this journey, where you are in the big picture, because we are all simultaneously, like nothing and everything all at the same time, depending on the situation we're in. And hold my new babies, I was everything. I was the entire world. At music festival, I'm a blip in the audience, right? Like it's very different. But yeah, and breathe. Keep breathing. Keep moving forward. You're going to wake up with you every single day of your life. There's no more important relationship.
Wow. Wow, Marcela. I mean, the tips, I hope women who going to listen to this episode, they're gonna take your advice and they're gonna go and do with it. Because I know you shared a lot of dimes in there. I mean, my goodness, a lot of information. The women can use it in order to help them cultivate love and start that journey or continue with that journey of self-love. Because nowadays we want more self-love than anything else. We need that help. We need that help, somebody to push us to be able to understand and learn how to cultivate self-love. So thank you so much, Marcela. If somebody wanna communicate with you or message you, where would they find you?
I am on Facebook, and I do have a LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm not an influencer, so I'm not trying to find a bunch of people or anything. But yeah, I do have some socials. If you wanted to reach out, I'm more than willing to make friends.
You huge impact. You're absolutely huge impact, Marcela, because you're power. I've known you personally for over almost a year now, and it's every time talking to you, it's learning new things. is, you're like an inspiration to women. And thank you for sharing your stories with us, and thank you for sharing your wisdom and be a part of, my podcast. Thank you so much.
Of course. It was so wonderful to be a part of this with you.
It's absolutely amazing. So, ladies and ladies, I hope you listen to Marcela. When what she actually shared today, it's a dime. It's the first step that you can take toward the journey of cultivating self-love. And if you would like to connect with her and know more, about her story and how she walked the journey, what step, what tips, and all that, I'll leave the link on the description. Don't hesitate to message her. She'll be more than happy to reply to you. Until I see you next time, bye bye.